More tech news, but this time in Nigeria. Kaduna State in northern Nigeria has, for the second time in 3 years, conducted elections at the local government level electronically. The Morning Show's Dr. Ruben Abati penned an article in This Day about the Kaduna State's Independent Electoral Commission, making this possible in line with Section 3, Section 16, Subsection 3 of its act. Isaac Adekanye is an analyst with Financial Derivatives Company Limited. Joins us now to discuss more on all things tech. Isaac, you're very welcome. Good morning to you.
Good morning, Rhodes.
What do you make of what took place in Kaduna, the electronic voting there? Second time in 3 years.
Yes, I think it's a huge step to show what can actually happen when the government and the telcos decide to actually, take us into a tech kind of voting system. We saw what happened in the National Assembly, where they were almost like, this is not possible, this can't happen. But from Kaduna State now, we can see that it is possible, it can happen. And the telcos have shown that they have shown interest in that. And then also, I think the Electoral Commission also mentioned that they were capable of doing it. So now that they've actually done it, we can actually see that it is possible, and it's a good step.
Thank you for that. Marshmallow, what is this digital firm over in the UK? What's your take on, I guess, the issue of diversity in the tech space in the United Kingdom?
Well, the story was actually quite interesting for me because last time I was here, I was talking about unicorns.
Yes, exactly.
So seeing that was interesting, but then it tells a lot about maybe the composition of venture capital funding in itself, because a lot of the time to actually get this funding, you need to be in front of these people funding them. So how do you get there? Maybe that's where we need to start looking. How diverse is the space of actually getting in front of these venture capitalists? Because if the numbers, like you said, they're very low for ethnic funding of companies. So it shows a lot that maybe we need to start working on how to position these ethnic founders in front of the venture capitalists. So maybe that's where we should start looking at, because the number saying something that low in terms of ethnic funding, it's not good in the tech sector.
Gotcha. Still on tech, to Nigeria now. With Nigerian companies made a lot of headlines with respect to funding, fundraising, and so on and so forth. But there's a brain drain, right? How do you address that? How do you view that?
Well, to be honest, the reality of Nigeria is what you have to look at in terms of brain drain. So in terms of compensation, in terms of security, in terms of development, in terms of career growth, in terms of mental health, in terms of worker rights and all those things, Nigeria is not yet there compared to the rest of the world. So these are reasons why people will constantly be emigrating. If you keep looking at it, you see that more people are getting into tech. And now with the dwindling naira, so there's also an economic aspect of it. It's getting cheaper to actually employ Nigerians. And then, with remote working and all that on the rise, something that you might probably pay $6,000 for in the US, you can easily pay $2,000 to a Nigerian to offer you a similar service. And that $2,000 to the Nigerian workspace is a lot. How many local companies can match that?
That's $1 million, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
530 or 515 levels now.
Exactly. So when you look at it that way, you can see why a lot more people are looking abroad and why there is that brain drain.
Well, I'm glad you mentioned remote work, because can one really say there is a brain drain when you can employ a Nigerian from overseas to work for a foreign tech company and they can earn FX?
Yeah, I would say yes and no. Right. So on the yes side, we can't only look at brain drain from flight of human capital. We should also look locally. So now you see a lot of people in tech would probably prefer to take remote jobs for companies abroad. Again, it comes back to this remuneration thing. How many people can actually match that much money in terms of, salaries and bonuses and all that? Locally, it can't be matched. And you find that most times, once people take on these jobs, the next stage is what? To emigrate.
Right.
So it's almost like once these people start from that process, again, with remote working, you can work for this company, work for that company. You're now in a different ecosystem entirely compared to here. And once you've taken people out of this Nigeria's working system, that's another person gone, another brain gone, another opportunity to develop our ecosystem. So that's gone. But on the other side, you can also say no, because tech contributed 15% to Nigeria's GDP in 2020. So we have a growing population, growing tech space. So yes, some would go, but there's still the potential for those who stay to actually add more value.
All right, well said. You mentioned locally, on the local scene, how much, you're looking at tech's contribution to GDP and so on, how much would you say has been done to grow, I guess, expertise, manpower in the sector here? Well,
the beauty of growth is that it can be compounding. So while people are saying that, okay, investment is coming into Nigeria, people are now starting to say, okay, we need to democratize this tech space. So a lot of the time, you're now seeing that most of these tech people, they're usually self-trained, which is very costly in terms of time, in terms of money. So what is happening now is more people are saying, okay, because of how wide tech is, we can sort of start to create specialist schools that can help people. Because what you find is at the end of the day, with a lot of tech, there's no job readiness because employers are like, well, you've done a lot in this area, but do you have the vast array of skills that we're looking for? So now you're seeing companies like Andela, companies like New Horizons, they are bringing up opportunities for people to actually say, you know what, let us train these tech people, let us be able to democratize these skills for them. But on the other side, like if the environment is not safe, are people still going to be comfortable going out to learn? What is the situation of the environment? Like how many people can afford these classes? So all those kind of things are what we look at. And I would say, well, the space is growing. There are opportunities to train people. And then you can also look at partnerships from countries that have developed tech sectors. So they can also send in their expertise to help us locally with a view, again, most times with a view of actually taking these experts out. So we're looking at...
Great stuff. Isaac Adekoye, analyst with Financial Derivatives Company Limited. Thanks for the tech talk on brain drain in Nigeria.